Hello and welcome to the Tuesdays Talk Show with me, your host, Yvonne Gorman from Essential Print Services. The Tuesday Talk Show is powered by my very own business, which is celebrating 10 years, which is absolutely amazing to get to 10 years. This is series 4 already of the Tuesday Talk Show, episode 2, with our very special guest, Sean Clare from Blue Arrow Recruitment in Derby. Before we go over to Sean, I want to let everyone know who's watching this live or on catch up. This is a live broadcast. Anything can happen. I have hay fever. I may sneeze. The dog may bark. Who knows what's happened? Things have happened in the past. We've just got on with it. This is a live broadcast. It's a live broadcast, which means you can send in your comments and questions to get featured on the show. So please let us know that you're listening and that you're watching this wherever you are. Some people watch this and listen to it whilst on the rowing machine. Some people watch and listen to it during their miracle morning routine. Wherever you are, let's hear from you. We'd love to give you a shout out. So straight over, diving straight into the questions for our very special guest. Sean, hello. How are you? How are you getting on today?
Good morning, Yvonne. I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, a bit warm. I'm going to be the typical Brit that keeps, I love the sunshine, but just struggling, melting a little bit. But good other than that, thank you.
I'm really pleased you've had some time out to chat with me this morning, so I'm really thankful for that. So just introduce yourself, Sean. Who are you? What do you do? How did you become a director of Blue Arrow from being a recruitment consultant right back in 2009? Go.
Lovely. So hi everyone. So I'm Sean Clare. I'm the business director for Blue Arrow in Derby and North Staffordshire. Most people in Derby know as AKA the Eggman of Derby, as well as Lindsay Hatfield crowned me over the last 4 or 5 years. So I head up a team of 9 in my headcount that support Derbyshire and Staffordshire firms with their recruitment needs. In terms of my journey, I'm sure we might delve a bit more into that, but I guess hard work, determination and ambition, and working for a firm that believe in me to be able to progress and lead others ultimately to be in a position to be a business director from a consultant. It's not unheard of within Blue Arrow as well, the support. I think we have had stories of people going from work experience to being an MD, and that's kind of like my next, so the next ambition potentially in the next few years. But I think ambition, drive and determination has been the main thing to platform me to get to where I am now.
I think with you being at the company for such a long time, 12 years, I mean, that's a long time in my book. That's a testament really to the business values and ethics. Would you agree?
Very much so. I think that recruitment is one of those industries where there is a lot of attrition. I think a lot of people believe it's one thing from the outside, and when they come into it, it's maybe not what they thought. It's hard, to be honest. No day's the same as testing. But there's many a story of Blue Arrow having, workers that have been with us in excess of 30, 40 years. So I'm not an anomaly within that. I'm still a puppy, really, compared to. They've given me everything that I've ever wanted as an employee, and given me that journey to do everything that I need, really. So it is testament to how they look after their people.
Fantastic. That's great. It's really refreshing to hear as well. So how has the pandemic affected you guys in the Derby branch?
Hugely, as I'm sure it has. I don't think there's any business that's been unaffected from that moment, and we still joke about it now that we're all saying, oh, it's just a little bit of flu, and we had one of our colleagues buying flour like it was going out of fashion, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, it's going to be over in a few weeks. Quickly, obviously that transpired to not be the case. So I think for us, really, we've had to adapt very, very quickly. Overnight, we were going from applying our normal warehouse stuff and chefs and hospitality to quickly redeploying and convincing chefs to go and do some cleaning work in a hospital. And that's been a constant story. So really, not only have we had to adapt our workforces to try different careers and different roles, we've gone from a business that's 5 days a week in the office to then having to transfer to work from home for the last, over 12 months now, and still been able to adapt our business to work. And thankfully, we've got the technology that's been able to make my consultants and my team's life easier, but actually our customers and the people that are working for us as well, that, we needed to reduce the touch points physically, but still make sure that we could maintain the same level of service to both candidates that work for us and the customers that need the staff. ultimately. So it's been challenging, but as any recruiter will tell you, no year's the same anyway. So as much as, you know, we could never have prepared for such a thing, I think we are kind of built to kind of work in worst case scenario mode, and that the world's going to end tomorrow. How do we adapt to it?
No, that's really good, really positive. And obviously it sounds like the resilience as well of you and the team has been phenomenal. So what else have you learned about yourself over the past 12 months?
I've learned that I need people. I'm a lonely child, and yet, to be honest with you, I think recruitment, sales, anyone that's involved in customer service or sales, I think, you know, you need people to buoy you. For, you know, there are down days, and you need someone to be able to console you and pick you up ultimately when stuff, when the proverbial hits the fan, and days feel a bit tough and lonely. But actually, again, recruitment's all about the highs as well. And you don't want to be sat just in your kitchen or in the dark corner of the nook and cranny you found in your house and just be like, I've just won a new client, and there's no one there to celebrate it with. I think, you know, we've got Microsoft Teams and things like that. You can't replicate that joy. And we've done that with interviews as well, that it's very difficult to build that rapport over a screen. So yeah, I need people around me. I've missed my team 5 days a week, and actually going out to clients as well, networking events. It's just felt, yeah, I like to be a people person, always have been. And so I think that's been the biggest thing for me, that I've realized, yeah, I need people around me. I don't like being in isolation on my own. That's been a big thing for me, really, yeah.
Have you been to any face-to-face networking meetings yet?
Yeah, I've done a couple. Again, it's trying to find we've been so busy. Sometimes it's kind of trying to prioritize which ones. So I've done a couple of marketing derby ones. We've done actually quite a few virtual events as well. So I did a virtual jobs fair in Staffordshire last week, where there was 1,100 candidates in North Staffordshire that were my audience. So that kind of maybe prepared me for today. Did a virtual jobs fair with Derby College a few weeks ago as well, and did a networking prep one with Derby University a couple of months ago that Bev kindly invited me to, and we kind of helped some business students prepare for what their life might be when they come into network, and give them some hints and tips. So yeah, so it's been quite good still to get into the community and you know, still see how people are getting on.
So, Sean, thinking about that career fair and the 1,100 candidates that you got in front of, would that have happened in real life, do you think, if COVID hadn't happened? Having that amount of people as your audience? Absolutely
not. I mean, I think, you know, recruiters probably have more access and interaction with job centres and those people that are maybe on a situation where they're not in work. They're not your active people that maybe you'd see applying for your everyday jobs. So I don't think too many companies have day-to-day interaction. Like you said, I've worked for Blue Arrow for 12 years, 13 in recruitment. And quite often you find that when you do those jobs fairs of long-term job seekers, it might be the same faces that would turn up, and actually the quality, if I'm honest, wouldn't be there. And it would be often, and this might sound really damning, but a lot of people might just come there to pick up the free stuff that was on a stand. You know, if you grab a pen and you're thinking, are you here for a job or not? Yeah. But actually, so one, the ratio went up because of how many people were there, but they didn't have to worry about, do we need to get a bus to get to the actual where the job fair has been held? Because they're always thinking about the monetary side of things. Yeah. They could sit behind a fake screen, you know, they didn't have to be visual. So again, they're not necessarily worried about presentation. So absolutely not. I've never seen a number of that high, even when they're coming through. And I was shocked, really, considering how much talent and some of the industries that I've never seen at a jobs fair before were there and asking questions. It was really good. So yeah, I think that's a very positive move, that if that can still continue. So what is your COVID keeper? What will you continue to do? What have you changed over the past year that you will continue or would like to stick around? Yeah, I mean, from a work-based point, they're kind of a bit in tune, really. So we've made the decision to continue hybrid working. We trialled it last summer when lockdown 1, 2 came to an end. I get how many lockdowns there's been now, but during the summer from sort of mid-July through to October, we did 2 days from home, and so 2 days at the office, 3 days from home, just to see could we make that work, and we did. And that's what the company has rolled out now. We're calling it agile working. So we're continuing that. If the business needs are there to be in the office more, or you haven't got the technology at home, or actually being very conscious of the mental well-being for people as well. If someone lives at home and doesn't have a partner or even a dog to keep them company, don't force them to stay at home if that's not convenient or right for them, for their well-being. So we've made that platform to work, and thankfully, again, technology supported that. So yeah, long may that continue. We've also adapted we're not just in shirts and ties. Not that I've worn a tie for a while, and I've got chinos and some pumps on today because it's dress for your day, which I think is really comfortable as well.
You're on the Tuesday talk show, so you've got to make an effort, Sean.
Absolutely. I mean, for all you know, you don't know what I've got on below the shirt today, so that's really nice as well. But from a personal / business as well, do you know, it might sound really odd. It's taking a lunch and actually doing something on my lunch, and I hadn't done that. I can't remember for however long, and we've all done it as a group now. It's like, who's going out on a walk for lunch? We're on Mansfield Road, so we're looking to go on Darley Abbey and to get some nice walks. And I can't remember the last time I wasn't just sat at my desk for the whole 9-10 hours a day staring at that screen. So that's absolutely something I'm keeping, is taking a proper lunch. And I've never been so healthy, I think, because of that, for stress, for health, fitness reasons. These last 12 months have really helped with that. So those are the things I'm definitely keeping.
Totally agree with the lunchtime thing. It's just so simple. And when you think back, you think there were weeks, months where I'd go to the office, I'd come home, I'd think, nothing to eat today.
Yeah.
Because you're at home, the canteen is the kitchen, and it's just dead easy to grab something, and I'd feel so much better for it. Which is absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, my fiance understood it. She was like, "How can you've not had lunch, any breakfast?" It took me a while to get into it, and she's like, "Are you going to take a lunch?" She's like, "Oh no, I'm all right. I had a few coffees. Fine." So no, that's been a big change, and a welcome one as well.
Absolutely. And what was also welcome is one of the comments we've had this morning. We've got Maria Hanson, MBE. Yeah.
Hi, Maria.
Good morning, Yvonne and Sean. Two great memory makers for me. Absolutely very proud to be a memory maker as well. That's for sure. So you don't own Blue Arrow Recruitment, but you're very much in charge and responsibility for the Derby branch. Yeah. So what is the hardest thing about being in that position?
People.
But you're in recruitment, you must be used to people all the time, right?
Yeah, but you still get surprised, to be honest with you. And I think it is key to how we run our businesses. So essentially, yes, it's not I haven't put all my life savings and made a massive commitment to Blue Arrow to get this branch up and running. However, I would be no different to you running your business, Yvonne, in terms of I'm responsible for my P&L, the budgeting, the marketing spends. If we're not running efficiently as a business, are we covering our costs? Can I afford to pay the staff essentially and do that? So I'm still very mindful of that and have those stresses, same as anyone else would really. Where's that next bit of business come from last year? What's going to happen, with companies that aren't going to reopen. But ultimately, yeah, people is always the biggest challenge, whether that be internally or externally. I've learned a lot of lessons over the last 5-6 years in particular since my journey as a manager. There's a lot of books out there, but you're learning on the job essentially of how to make the right hires. You make mistakes, and our people are our business. It doesn't matter what name is above the door. Ultimately, our customers, our clients buy into the people that are representing Blue Arrow, and that goes beyond the consultants that are working for us. That's the temporary workers or the permanent staff that we place into, and they're a direct representation. So we can do all the sales pitch, we can say what we can do behind the scenes to support that, but we've got to identify the right person to fit in. Unfortunately, we haven't got tags on every single member of staff. We haven't got a cloning machine to make the best staff over and over again. So people unfortunately do have bad days, or they might have had too much beer and sunshine on Sunday and not turned up to work on the Monday. So that is always going to be the biggest challenge. We're a people industry, but they're always the biggest problem for us. So I think that's the biggest learning curve for me, is getting those right people internally into our business as well. And there's been a lot of ups and downs with that over the years.
Yeah, you mentioned before that you don't own Blue Arrow, and you haven't put that massive commitment in. I would disagree, Sean, because knowing you, you have put all your time and effort into the Derby branch of Blue Arrow, and your passion definitely comes across. So yeah, absolutely, you've put the effort in. So absolutely fantastic. Sean, is there Is there been a time I've always asked people this question in a Tuesday talk show. It's about the last time you felt like quitting, or you just felt at the end of your tether and you're like, what am I doing this for? I've had enough. Not so much focusing on what the problem was, but how did you, if you have been there recently, how did you overcome that? I think that's the most useful part for people to listen to, because and I go there on a regular basis. It's like, what am I doing this for? But it's the way you get out of that mindset is really useful for people to learn about.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that I'm very open book with people. I think you'll get very much transparency from me. I'm a heart on the sleeve kind of person. And yeah, sometimes heart rules the head a little bit. But for me, it's probably about 3 years ago, to be honest with you, it really got to that point, because I tried to be optimistic, and there was a few things that made me realise I can't keep sweating the small stuff. If I can't do something about problems out of my hands, let's just try and find a solution that's at least going to get us to a point. And I think there was maybe just a point in work and life that we were really, really busy, and I had a few problems with a couple of members of staff that weren't working out, and they were causing me issues day to day, unfortunately. And to be honest, I wasn't feeling particularly upbeat in the head really either. You know, there's a lot of strain on trying to make sure the business ran. And I'll be honest, blokes are we the best at talking and speaking out. I've done a couple of LinkedIn posts about it. I had a blog that I actually ended up just writing on and saying, like, you know, I don't think I'm feeling particularly good. You know, I need a bit of an outlet. And actually, it was seeking help. To be honest with you, it was seeking advice from people that maybe aren't in my industry, but taught me how to compartmentalize and box something off and say, don't sweat the small stuff. What is the point in getting stressed? So it was actually a former client of mine that does like a bit of life coaching, not a counselor or anything like that, but just like life coaching, and to get you to a point where look beyond what is going on and see the bigger picture. It might not be a business tip necessarily, but I think it's using your network or speaking out to people, that there will be people that have gone through the same rubbish and the challenges that you're going through. Don't be scared to speak out. You know, I think that's the main thing, or seek that help out. And it is really weird in the last, I think, just before or just post lockdown of 3, I ended up speaking to 2 clients, very senior managers, both men, who actually, I said, you know what, I'm not feeling particularly great today. And, you know, we always get that thing of a very British saying, oh, I'm fine, it's all good. Yeah. And actually they were feeling the same. And I think it was just opening up those channels. So for me, yeah, it's seeking help and just trying to get you through those situations and not sweating the stuff that you can't control.
Definitely, totally agree with you there, Sean. And I think one of my COVID keepers is definitely going to be the legacy of the pandemic, is that, you know, when it's been acceptable to go into a networking event and say, how are you today? And rather than doing the default, yeah, fine, work's really busy. Yeah. Going, actually, I'm not on form today, but I've turned up, because if I didn't turn up, I'd just be wanting to hide in my cave today. So I want to I've been brave today to get out, get dressed, and be present, basically. So hopefully that will be a legacy from all this fiasco. So what are the advantages then of being an intrapreneur?
The advantages. It gives me, I think the biggest thing, and I said that one of the things I'm proud about working through Blue Arrow is, yeah, I've gone through the consultant years of generating business and giving us a platform to run. But the benefit for me really is I get to mold my own team. You know, so I'm responsible for who we hire, who walks through that door, and ultimately I'm spending 40+ hours a week with and developing those. And, you know, out of my team, there's only a couple that have ever come from other recruitment agencies. And that's just because they've been outstanding or wanted to work for us. You know, actually both of those have approached us to come and work for, which is really nice that we're representative in the market, that they want to come and work for us. But I think it's having that ability to share my knowledge and expertise with people that have come from very different industries, but turn them into absolutely stellar recruitment consultants that have made bona fide careers, that have been very successful with, and it's having that autonomy, really. Yes, I said it before, you know, I've got the Blue Arrow branding behind me and that support mechanism that we've got from a legal perspective, but I can run it and do all the things that I want to do, such as the marketing that I did with you, Yvonne, when we had the calendars made. You know, there's little things like that I've done off my own back. I think I've got a marketer in my past life. I was a marketing or Don Drake at some point in my life. That's what I tell myself anyway. The ability to just go and promote Blue Arrow in the best way that I see fit, and do that job to do so and have total control in that way.
We are flying through this half an hour, as we always do on the Tuesday Talk Show. I want to remind people watching or listening live or on catch up that this is a live broadcast. Anything can happen. We'd love to hear from you. So whether you're watching this live or on catch up, please send in your comments and questions. Show us some love. Click the like button wherever you're watching it. If you're watching this live on YouTube, click the subscribe button too. Sean, before we go to the next question, I want to squeeze in maybe some top tips for people looking to hire at the moment, because the marketplace must be just in a place where it's never been before. It must be obscene to manage what's happening. What is the industry like as a snapshot now, and what tips would you give small business owners like myself who may be looking to recruit? Where do we start?
I mean, it's the hardest market I've worked in 13 years. I'll be, worked through recessions, where obviously there's loads of candidates around, but also when there hasn't been, this is the toughest. And I think we're seeing that across the board. We've got more companies wanting to come to us that we've not even sold into, that have said, we hear about Blue Arrow, can you help us recruit? So it's challenging. Maybe once furlough ends, we'll see a little bit of a release from that. I think everyone's keeping their fingers crossed with that element, to be honest with you. But there's been a lot of impacts and people leaving industries and doing that. So I think if you sat there thinking, why am I not getting enough responses to my adverts, or why is the quality not there? Everyone's in the same boat. I think for me, the biggest word of advice that I would give is that not everyone's great at writing CVs. Ignore them to the best part that you can, because there's generally 9 times out of 10, there's a reason that someone's applied for your position. So give them that opportunity. We often try to get our clients to just see candidates based on a profile that we've put together from our knowledge of them, how we've met them, to get them across and get their personality across ultimately. And then see them just on the face value, really, rather than looking at what they did 10 years ago and making a judgment call on that. So I think the key thing is, justify that someone's actually applied for you to a reason. But make sure you're selling not just what the salary is. I see a lot of companies not put salaries on. I think that's a good thing, because we'll discuss it at interview. People bypass if they don't believe they might just think you're offering a really poor salary, so they won't bother and then move on to the next one. Candidates have got so much choice right now. And I suppose the biggest thing is really get across your culture. Ultimately, why should someone want to come and work for you? Forget about the actual duties of the job too much. Is why should someone want to come and work for you as opposed to a other similar type business, and give them that incentive to want to come and work and give people an opportunity. So many people coming out of hospitality and retail to a certain extent at the moment. There's some great employees in that market, and where I've took a lot of my team from over the years as well. So just because someone used to be a chef and wants to come into something polar opposite, that they are very, very adaptable to different roles and very skilled and hardworking. So it's given that opportunity.
In the service industry, whether it be working in a shoe shop or a restaurant, they've got fantastic transferable skills.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And Sean, are you finding that, not just through the pandemic, but do you find that employers tend to look for attitude as well with candidates, that they've got the right attitude to come on board?
They are more so. I think it's started to be certainly something I look at internally. It's probably the first thing that I look at really is can I see someone spending that amount of time with me and my team? Employers I think are tuning into that a lot more, even for your blue collar workers. If they're wanting 50 warehouse staff, still, you've got to look at that personality fit. Can you have those people working alongside your permanent workers? And I think that is becoming more and more key for people, because that's going to ultimately create a longer term workforce. Whereas if you're just hiring people to put a bum on a seat, it's very short term. It's not going to be someone that's going to want to stay because you're just filling a position, rather than thinking actually that someone might come in as a low skill level, but might have ambition and want, just because they've been a warehouse workers for the last few years. Is that what they left school to aspire to be? Maybe not. So, speaking to them and understanding what their personality is like, I think is becoming more and more prominent in the workplace. Yeah,
absolutely. And going to the candidate side, candidate's perspective, if someone did want to progress within a business, what advice would you give from your experience? What advice would you give them to become maybe more noticeable or be in a line for promotion?
I think ask the right questions. I think make sure people know. I think, again, the whole British thing I said about the weather at the start is we're sometimes a little bit too polite to go and ask for that promotion, or to ask, can I get more training to progress myself? So I think you've got to put yourself in the shop window no matter what. I think during that time, you've still got to show yourself to be capable to do that job, and show that commitment, be versatile. But I think that asking for support, tapping into other people, you know, whether it's internally or externally, if you've got an ambition to become something, or to pick up a skill, find out how you can pick up that skill or what training you need, and ask internally if that's something your current employer can provide. Or if they can't, again, talk to once you've found maybe an external course or something you can do, is then approach them and say, look, I want to better myself. Will you allow me the time to do so? I think it's asking for that. If you don't ask, you don't get. And that's what I did to progress myself. Ultimately, you know, I had to ask the question because I wasn't happy standing still. I think that's the biggest thing, really. And if you want to stay somewhere long term, is show that commitment, really.
And also mentoring as well, finding a mentor within the business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Been there, done that. Maybe someone not in the business but doing this very similar position to ask for advice and get some confidence around it. But if an employee came to me and said, I found this course, can you support me with it? That for me just ticks all the boxes. It speaks volumes about their commitment to personal development as well, which is really, really important. And
tell them, I suppose the thing as well, if they don't see the benefit straight, if it's going to cost the employer money, is make sure you sell how it's going to benefit them. Not just you, but actually this is what it's going to mean for you when you upskill me. So I think that's obviously a big point as well.
If you come to me and say, I found this course, it costs quite a bit of money, is there any chance you can fund it? Here's an idea of how to fund it. This is brilliant. Just taking that innovative approach to basically asking for, I want to progress myself here, I think is absolutely fantastic. And anyone, that's great advice as well, Sean. Anyone watching in that position. We are flying through time. I want to get a couple more questions in before we go today. So looking back at your industry, Sean, is there anything that happens in your industry that you really wish wouldn't happen? Anything you want to change about the industry that you work in, and why?
How long have you got? Do you know, the biggest thing for me is perception of the recruitment industry. Yeah, do you know what? In any industry, there's good and bad, and people will be, tarnished. But I think recruitment, more than anything, gets tarnished. If there's a bad recruiter, we all get tarnished with the same brush. We will sell our grandmother for an opportunity. We're not to be trusted. And that's the biggest thing for us. We had an ambition to become the world's most trusted staffing agency. And I was like, what? That's not recruiters. You can't say that. But actually, that's the biggest thing. There are some really, really good recruiters out there locally as well. Some we have to question morals and activities, but I think the ones that are doing it now, they're bloody good. And I think that you never know. And I think, you might need a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. You definitely need a friendly neighborhood recruiter, because I've had times over the years where a HR or a manager said, no, never use a recruitment agency, the scum of the earth, don't ever call me again. I've had very real life examples then of that same person coming to us when they've been made redundant or had an issue further down the line. Actually, I need help finding a job. So I think in any walk of life, just be mindful how you speak to someone is one thing, because you never know when you're going to need them or meet them again down the line. It's very much something I work to. But recruiters, we are here for a reason. We're generally here to help people into work and find the right talent for the right jobs. The good ones. I think we're a valuable asset, and I think people have seen that over the last 12 months. I'm really proud of what Blue Arrow have done in terms of redeploying people into the Nightingale hospitals. I think we've had over 2,000 people to track and trace call centres and people working from home, cleaning hospitals. We've survived all the COVID test centres throughout the UK nearly as well. A lot of this UK business wouldn't survive without our support. So I think it's just sometimes having a little bit more respect for our industry, because we are good at what we do.
No, well said, well put, absolutely. If a candidate is watching this and they haven't approached a recruitment agency before, is that a free service for them?
100%. I know, well, there's some out there that I think do still charge for services, but 100% a worker candidate should never pay a penny unless they're having to pay for a DBS or something like that. But ultimately, no, it's a completely free service.
That's fantastic. Why wouldn't you? If you're looking for a job. So before we close the show today, Sean, what's on your bucket list? That could be from a personal or business perspective, or both. What's left for you that you want to do?
It's probably it's such an easy one now, given the last 12 months. Well, I'm going to say one straight off. I've already had to postpone my wedding from last year, so I should have got married last July. That got postponed, and we're not getting married now until May of next year. So yeah, I'm desperate to marry my soulmate. It's been top 5 now, and then trips. I think it's everyone's thing, isn't it, about getting on holidays? But absolutely want to go on safari and see some of those animals in absolute real life, not in captivity, and see that. And a big American road trip at some point is on the plan to do. So it's all around travel, to be honest with you. That's the big bucket list for me.
That sounds super exciting, super exciting. Before we go, I want to give a shout out to Maria Hansen, who's joined us throughout, and also those who have dipped in and out throughout the show. Also, big shout out to Anna Ingram, super interesting. Thank you very much, says Anna. And it has been really interesting, Sean. I love doing the Tuesday talk shows because I get to chat to business people about stuff we wouldn't necessarily talk about in real life. So it gets a real insight into people and their characters. So before we finish today, where can people find you, Sean, and Blue Arrow in Derby?
Okay, so they can find me on LinkedIn, Sean Clare Blue Arrow. You can email me at sean.clare@bluearrow.co.uk. And I'm also getting a little bit more synonymous now on Instagram. You can find me at A Crafty Pint, which has become it's my secret. I'm not an alcoholic, but I review craft ales over there. So I've done about 150 different ales over the last year or so, and that's become quite a hobby, if you can call it that, over the last 12 months.
And on your LinkedIn profile, you're at an award ceremony or something like that. Where's that photograph taken?
It's at the Hilton at the NEC, where Blue Arrow have our annual awards and conference. We haven't had one this year, unfortunately, but that was the last one we had before lockdown kicked in, and that's me winning Business Director of the Year for that year. And my branch came second out of all of our locations. So yeah,
congratulations! That's awesome.
Thank you.
So I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm going to come back to Sean for his final thoughts. So this has been the Tuesday Talk Show. This is Series 4. Already we're at Series 4, which is fantastic. Episode 2 is today's show. I want to thank Sean for his time today and all my guests on previous episodes. If you've enjoyed today's show, there are more. Yes, there are more to catch up with on the Tuesday Talk Show YouTube channel. Press the subscribe button to get notified next time we go live. So back over to Sean from Blue Arrow Recruitment in Derby for your final thought. Over to you, Sean.
Okay, so my final thought and something that I live by is the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. That's something that I just think resonates, especially over the last 12 months to go from, and that you'll always need a friendly neighbourhood recruiter, which should be Blue Arrow.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sean, and thanks for everyone for watching live and those who will watch us on catch up. Make sure you send in your comments and questions. We would love to hear from you. But for now, until next time, it's just us for now. That's a wrap from the Tuesday Talk Show. We'll see you again soon. See you later. Bye.